two most common types of compensations with posture and breathing that we usually see in the clinic, and it's also been noticed and described in the research literature. So what we're going to start with first is someone who has a difficulty allowing their diaphragm to rise up and to get their ribs to drop back down. Okay, so come to our skeleton friend here. So if we're looking at it from the front, okay, or from the side over there, what we're going to see is these people are going to have a lower rib cage that tends to stay up this way. Okay, so when they go to try to exhale to get the air to come out of their lungs, they're going to have a really hard time pushing it down and in to push the air out. So what usually ends up happening is they're going to use, if we look over here, they're going to use more of their back muscles to try to squeeze even harder to try to create a compressive strategy to get the air to leave out of their lungs, okay? So their diaphragm stays in this low position, their rib cage stays up, so when they go to try to get the air out, they can't do it. So in order for them to get the air out, they have to use their upper back a little bit more to create that force to get the air out, okay? So let's say we still keep talking about this person who has this rib cage that's elevated like this, okay? When they go to take a breath in, if their diaphragm is already dropped, it hasn't come up to this position, it's staying down here. But now let's say they're going for a walk or they're working out or they're at work and they need to take more of a breath in, they need to take more air in because of the constraints or what's required to do that activity. So if that's the case, if they can't really get any more air into their lungs, then what they have to do to take more air in is they're gonna have to use their neck muscles to pull the whole rib cage up, okay? So from the side, it's gonna come up this way and almost like arch their back a little bit. Their upper back is gonna basically kind of do this action right here. So you're gonna see their shoulders rise and their whole rib cage is gonna come up, okay? So those can lead to a lot of tightness in the upper to mid back muscles here, okay? And it can also cause a lot of tension in the neck muscles, okay? Especially down lower and maybe a little bit in the front right there, okay? So now let's talk about the opposite situation. So instead of this high, we're starting in a low position, okay? So the rib cage now has difficulty with coming up, okay? These individuals are going to have a tough time really getting air into the bottom parts of their lungs a lot of the time, okay? So what happens is if their rib cage is down here and it stays in this low position close together here, what's going to happen is in order to pull air in, they're going to have to do the opposite of the last thing we just saw, which is they're going to cause even more of this kind of upper rounded back position, okay? Show that here. So I'm going to end up in a little bit in more of this position with that head coming forward, okay, going into this situation there. So if that's the case, if they go to take a breath in and they always have to kind of keep going into this, right, position there to pull air in, it becomes very difficult to get out of this position because you need to keep breathing, right? So, and if you can't get this to come up and out because you're stuck down here and this can't come up, then you're just going to kind of continuously hang out here. Okay? So in that case, a lot of people are going to have tightness in the muscles behind their head and their upper neck, and then as well as some more tightness usually in like the front of their hips and their hip flexor there. Okay, we'll get more into that in the video. We're talking about how breathing strategies can cause more pain in the lower back and the hips. Okay, so you're going to want to check that out as well. Just to give a little bit more of a demonstration of what's happening in the upper part of the head and upper back. So this is basically like the base of our skull. No pun intended. So what will happen is, if we look at it from the side, okay, and we have the head forward position, what's going to happen is this is the base of our skull, is we almost get stuck in this kind of position here, okay? So that's an issue because there's a lot of muscles and a lot of things that we need to be able to turn our head, to move our eyes, to be able to have conversations with people, and we just move these top few vertebrae here. So what happens if we're stuck in this position is we lose the ability to do that, so we end up having to twist more through the middle of our neck. Plus, these muscles themselves can get very, very sore and tired, okay? And this is more with the type of presentation of people that have that more narrow rib cage situation. They can't get it to come up. That's not always the case, but that's a very common presentation, okay? All right, so what we want to do is we'll be posting some videos in terms of like where we're going to start, how we can get that rib cage to come up, if you're a narrow rib cage or if you're a wider rib cage person, how are we going to get that thing to come back down, okay? We post some videos and we'll recommend some at the end of the end screen here for you to take a look to start making those changes, all right? Have fun.